Welcome to Western Kabuki. This week we're going to be talking about matching our freaks with each other. We're matching our freaks. Caleb, how are you doing this week? Are you ready to match your freak tonight?
Yeah, I hope if my freak was a political compass, it would be at the very bottom. So let's see. We'll see where everybody lands. But
yeah. Freak alignment.
Yeah, start attenuating your freaks.
Alex, what about you? Where's your freak gonna line up?
Oh God, this is a really I'm caught off guard.
Nobody wants to talk about this shit, dog.
I feel like there's no good way to respond to this to talking about my freak. If I don't say it, if I'm like I don't want to talk about this, then I sound like he's definitely.
That's why LARP freak. Is an asexual on this podcast because that's no one's business. You don't need to know that information.
And if I'm like, I'm a terrible nasty freak, then everyone knows I'm a terrible nasty freak. There's no way to
win. No one wins. You just look like everyone just starts judging. Yeah,
every
that's
Thursday
just how it
night
goes.
When we start, we do the countdown and we clap. I go from the information pimp to the information vol cell. That's all you know.
Information vol cell. No, that's like partially why I like make jokes about being a vol cell as well, because it's like it's no one's business. I don't want it to be people's business.
I just want all of our listeners to rest assured that my freak is like totally within the bounds of normalcy, and you should not make fun of me about
it. Covering your tracks, goddamn. Yeah. Yeah, so we're all vol cells, basically, is what we're saying. We're all asexual vol cells, and we hate sex. We don't even know what it is.
I've never even heard of that. Disgusting.
Yeah. Horrible. Horrific.
A good bit that I do in almost every group chat is whenever someone mentions sex, I say, God, I can't wait to get married so I can have sex.
You're such a good Christian. Oh, I love it. No one does that anymore. No one holds themselves anymore for the sanctity of marriage.
Everybody's just out there trying to match one another's freaks.
I know, what a shame. So on that, we're talking about something that seems to be an endless discourse at this point. I thought originally when this first came around, it was just going to be a short 1 or 2 day thing. Yeah. We're going to be talking about Jocat, the Jocat
whose freak
discourse
can't be matched on either side of the debate, it seems.
Yeah, no one matches with his freak. People understand his freak, but he has an unmatchable freak, and that's what the whole discourse, I guess, is about.
He's got this kind of wholesome Opie, Leave It to Beaver type freak, but people, I don't know. But it's also a freak.
Yeah, and of course I'm joking. I don't personally we'll get.
This
into
is the perception. Yeah,
the public perception, and we'll kind of go through the timeline a little bit. But the public perception of Jocat is that he this is the thing. I don't really know I don't think anyone's calling him a predator.
No,
right?
Lots of people are.
People are,
in my opinion.
I agree. I think. When people say stuff like that about him, I'm like, okay, come on. That's going a little too crazy right now. Sure, you might find it cringe, how he talks about what he talks about. Yeah,
let's go through what happened first, because I'm sure most of the people listening to this are brain damaged enough to know who Jocat is. But in case you are one of the people who use this show as a vector for not having to be online, let's start there.
Yeah, which is a great idea. It's you get to miss stuff like this, which frankly,
God bless you.
Better to not watch and witness in real time. Yeah. So yeah, let's back up before we go into the public perception. So the video in question,
even before the video, let's talk about this, because I learned something today, or not today, but during the course of researching for this episode or whatever, that. First of all, I did not know that the song was a parody of a Lizzo song. So
I didn't either.
Yeah, so that's this song that Lizzo does.
I like big boys, itty bitty boys, Mississippi boys, and the city boys. I like the pretty boys with the bow tie. Get your nails did, let it blow dry. I like a big beard, I like a clean face. I don't discriminate, come and get a taste. From the playboys to the gay boys. Go and slay boys, you my fave boys.
But it's the same concept, and that's where the music comes from that he sings over. And it's the same idea. I like different kinds of boys or whatever. And then, and her name escapes me, but somebody did an animation of that, and it was different kinds of boys. And that's where Jocat was parodying. This was essentially a parody of a Lizzo song in someone else's animation.
I like big girls, pretty kitty girls, really witty girls, singing ditty girls. I like the leggy girls with the nice thighs. I like a good chest, no matter what size. I like the belly folds, I like the six packs, really tall queens and the short stacks. From the mild girls to the wild girls, you got style girls, make them round girls.
God damn. It's so, by the way, if you haven't heard that yet and you just did, hope you're okay. If you need to talk, whatever. But like that song, it's the classic example of like content leaving your intended audience, because JooKat's like a Final Fantasy streamer. He's like a YouTube person.
He's like an animator too. I think his main thing is he's he does all that, but he's like an artist slash animator as well. Yeah.
There's no reason so what happened was I think he had, according to knowyourmeme.com, our fine friends, and our researcher, Adam, that we use from time to time on certain episodes, worked for Know Your Meme. So maybe he wrote this. knowyourmeme.com explains that he actually sang this song impromptu during a Baldur's Gate 3 stream. He was just streaming this game, heard the song, whatever, and just sang it on stream. And his audience, he has an established audience outside of Twitter. And it was like a funny little meme in his community, right? It would be like some of the dumb things that we say in this community that just like exited that space.
Yeah, like grums or whatever, like whatever it might be. Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff that I think, well, I'll only speak for myself. There's lots of stuff that I say on this show or in the Discord or just whatever else that if you took it and isolated it from the context, I could get bonked. I'm surprised I haven't been bonked yet. I don't know how you guys feel about this show.
I just want our listeners to know that this is an excellent golden opportunity to go to our Discord and hang out. Try and catch Caleb and take it out of context. Post it on Twitter.
Well, at the time of this recording, I think by the time this episode comes out, it'll be public again. But we still are on lockdown after the Grums people tried to infiltrate. So we'll see. Did you guys know that? Did I even tell you guys about that?
Yes.
You did. Yeah. You did. Yeah.
So
and a few people have DM'd me trying to like get in, like people that I would trust. And I'm like, yeah, it's locked right now.
Just have them, if this is still locked down by the time this episode comes out, just message to the Twitter and I'll let you in. But what happened was, if you didn't know, the reason that it was locked down is during the Grums thing, he identified us as the source of saying Grums. And either he linked, I missed it because he blocked me. Either he linked or that Gigapanda pervert linked the Discord. And like immediately a bunch of people join in. And what happened wasn't a lot. It was actually only just, I think I narrowed it down to like 4 people who like immediately were like, I'm going to kill Grums, Mark Kern, AKA Grums. I'm going to kill him with a gun or whatever. Like very obviously trying to like get the server shut down or whatever. So we had to like lock it down because they were just doing that. So anyway, that's an aside. Point being, when things that you say leave your intended audience, there are consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And this, I guess it was just like a YouTube video, and
it's a couple years old at this point, right?
I think it came out like at least 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2021.
It's pretty old.
April 2nd, 2021 was when it came out. And you heard the song, but in the song, it's like all women from video games, and there are different kinds of women from video games. And you watch that, and he drew them because, like you said, he's an animator.
Yeah, and so from there, I guess I feel like not as many people, like of course way more people know about it now, but on Twitter, like I think people who are on Twitter, and it's kind of been a true thing for Twitter compared to other social media for a long time, is there's like a sort of like ironic detachment in like posting on Twitter as opposed to any other sort of place. So, people are,
well, now that they know, now that the audience knows what we're talking about, if they didn't before, now I think we can kind of talk about why would that video make people uncomfortable? I mean, or why would that song
because like in isolation, it's just like there's so many YouTube videos, like it's really not a big deal, I don't think, personally. Like it's just a YouTube video. There's so many YouTube videos. It's pretty normal compared to YouTube as far as YouTube goes. Yeah. But so someone shout out, I guess, friend of the show, maybe mutuals with Claire Penis. I forget her off the top of my head, but her name is Hess.
Zero Suit Camus.
This is the second time. I think Claire's gonna have a fun time with this because last time we mentioned her on the show, she was like, "I'm glad that Western Kabuki had to say Claire Penis." I think I saw her say that.
Amazing. Yeah, Claire Penis, Zero Suit Camus on Twitter. She's one of the hosts on Seeking Derangements podcast. She posted just like the full video on Twitter, and basically I think the caption was just something like, I made this video, what do you guys think of it? And that leads people like that ironic detachment where it's like, oh, a bunch of like friends of hers, mutuals, were like,
they're in on the joke.
Like they're in on the joke, like, oh yeah, you made this, it's great, it's wonderful, we love it, even though they like probably think it's cringe or whatever. Yeah. And it was just a bunch of people saying like, wow, you did so good, what an amazing video, this is so great. And I guess what had happened is JooKat or someone in his audience saw it and I sent it to JooKat, and he quote tweeted it saying like, basically like, this person didn't make it, I made this video. And basically from there, it just unleashed a horde of his audience into her replies. I don't remember exactly what the comment section looked like. I did look at it at the time. I did take screenshots of some of the replies at the time, but it was some like people were really going off on Claire Penis. And so it kind of started this like war, right?
Claire Penis was attacked.
Yeah, there was like a Twitter war between Claire Penis and the hordes of the JooKat audience, and it was basically like people quote.
Say that sentence in a vacuum, by the way. Imagine explaining this to somebody in a bar.
Insane. Yeah,
this is like a Final Fantasy streamer cat boy named JooKat sticked his army of tens of thousands of followers on Twitter user Claire Penis.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I feel kind of like I do feel insane kind of describing this because this is one of the more like we talk about a lot of like really terminally online discourses and events, but this is like frankly one of the ones that takes the cake because it's really something. It's over just a video that is like harmless, I would say, like pretty harmless, and it's just people kind of being freaks to each other in like replies and DMs and kind of going off. Like it really is one of the more like asinine things, but it's just become so like I don't know, all encompassing and actually affecting people's personal lives, and it's just crazy to that this has kind of gone from just like what was a post from Claire Penis just kind of being like, hey, I think this is cringe. Like I'm pretty sure that's what the point was originally, right?
Yeah,
like this video is just cringe.
Just being silly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just a silly little thing.
All of the things that people had projected onto JooKat, none of that was involved in Claire Penis. Every time I say Claire Penis, it makes me laugh. Claire's post was none of that was really like, all the stuff people projected on it. And there was a shitload. And we're going to get to that in a little bit, like kind of the pathology of that. But it was just a silly little joke. And then JooKat had said like, he made a statement along the lines of like, this is what it takes to be a content creator. I'm out. I've been doxxed. I've had death threats, yada, yada, yada. But then he kind of changed. He didn't change his story. He clarified. I want to be careful about that because I don't want to make him sound like he's being duplicitous. But the doxing and death threats, he did clarify and say weren't coming from this instance. It was before, because this has gone around the internet a bunch of times. Every like couple months, someone will post this to make fun of him. People will make fun of him. Bad stuff happens, and he gets ostensibly death threats and doxing. He did say, and I'm excited to ask him about this because this is fucking crazy. He said that his like family, someone sent mysterious packages to his house. Something,
dude, that's so
yeah, bonkers. Which that's just like so beyond the pale. And I can't wait to ask him, like, what do you do? Like, let me ask you two, if something like that, you get a mysterious package. Are you opening that shit? Because I'm dumb enough to open the package.
Oh, definitely. I'm way too stupid to be suspicious.
Maybe I'll put on an N95, but I'm opening that anyway.
If it has my name on it, I'm just going to be like, oh, I forgot that I ordered this.
Ooh, a present, yeah.
No, yeah. I definitely would not, because I like the sympathies I do have for him is I have like had stuff
Same.
sent to where I live. So like when I like saw some of that coming from him, where he was like being threatened, especially because like we have to be clear, this started with like this whole discourse started within like a left-leaning Twitter space, but Nazis got like explicit Nazis, right-wingers got involved at this time too, and really went in on him, and probably were the source of a lot of like the in-person harassment, like sending packages.
I mean, again, anytime something, I mean, this shit had tens of millions of views, so of course it goes beyond his intended audience, Claire Penis's intended audience, and it goes just to the broader swaths of the horrible website that is X the Everything app.
Yeah, just a horrid place, just a cesspool of deranged people, which is why we're there, of course. But yeah, so he made that post where he basically was like, I'm done being a content creator. And as far as I'm aware, he was basically gone. That was like back in December in 2023. He was mostly gone for about 5 or 6 months.
I remember when that
really
happened, he said like, I do like, this sucks so bad. It's like a thing I made as a lark many years ago. And every so often it comes back up and people harass me. Like, I don't even want to be online anymore.
Which is that's genuinely like really sad. I think that sucks. Someone gets harassed that much over that. Yeah.
And so it's important to also, let's not exclude the discourse of when Claire had apologized, people got really mad at her for her apology.
Really?
Yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah.
Because what she said, I'm looking at the tweet now. I'm so sorry to JooKat for the joke. I genuinely feel bad. I didn't know it would blow up like that. More his fault than mine, because he did quote tweet it to his 150,000 followers who replied yelling at me 1,300 times, which kind of boosted it, but I digress. And by the way, correct. Not to blame JooKat, but I will say he just should just leave that kind of thing. If you're getting like your shit kicked in like that badly, just leave it alone.
Ignoring hate is 100% always the correct option.
Yeah.
Not acknowledging it, replying it, that's just like something you have to learn at some point online. Is if you reply, if you quote tweet someone who's hating on you, it will just go around more.
Yeah, but apparently because you're victim blaming or what, which is again, shut the fuck up. But like a lot of people got really mad at Claire for that too. So then JooKat says, "I'm done, indefinite hiatus, yada yada." And Claire even said something along the lines of like, "Wouldn't have done it. It was a stupid joke that really didn't have anything to do with him. Definitely didn't intend to make him go on indefinite hiatus." And they, as far as I understand, did kind of come to an understanding. But by that point, the damage was just kind of done. So, okay.
But why are we talking about that today?
Why are we talking about that today is because it's making the rounds again.
The video or something else?
It's both. He made, because he's an animator, he did make a different, it's a drawing. I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the drawing. He made a drawing again about like, how he likes different kinds of women, and there's like him doing activities with women and like helping one, spotting a woman in the gym with a squat and all this just like dumb shit or whatever. And it's like, okay, don't do that, buddy. Like, what's gonna, do you know? Do you not know? Do you know? Like that's gonna happen.
Like people will start talking about it again. And let's be clear. So the discourse around the video, people will like have said a lot of different things, right? Like people will be like, call him like a predator or like just like a women objectifier, and like basically the whole thing is that he is doing this stuff as like an ulterior motive, I suppose, right?
So that's what I wanted to get into. So the photo, the drawing itself that he made is very unremarkable. It's just about him liking women and basically saying support women. He's got that kind of, like I said at the top of the episode, like this kind of wholesome, like horny attitude towards women or loving women or whatever. It's very unremarkable, but then people are like, this is this guy, like, and then the video starts going around and then he starts getting dragged out again, which is why we're talking about this. So yeah, it's like that again, but it's because something else happened. I think it's like, in what I've read, and I'll just say this, I thought the video was bad. I thought it was stupid, and this is not a personal assessment of JooKat. The video in a vacuum on its own is cringy. I'll say it. It sucks. It's bad. I don't like it. A lot of people, I don't know if I'd go this far, but a lot of people would make the argument that it is sexist, and that I think the bigger picture why people call him a predator, and I don't agree with this, whatever this is worth. So there's kind of like that type. There's a type of like Tumblr nice guy, Tumblr woke, whatever, left-leaning, support all women type of person that uses this parlance and whatnot that ends up being like a creep or a pervert.
Yeah, like I feel like I'll like Caleb, you and I in particular, Alex, maybe you have too, but there's been a lot of people since I've been on Twitter since 2019 that had that same like, oh, wholesome, horny attitude where they end up being like, oh, they had a wife this whole time and they were like cheating on them, or like they were like being a sex.
Lots of guys like that.
Yeah, so it's like, so I think it's probably like a sea change, and like acknowledging that some people will occasionally use that sort of motive or personality, or they'll just use that way of talking about women online as like a cover, and I think people are just like kind of weary of that. I think that's where that comes from. I think like it's hard to get a lot of nuance in this conversation.
People listening to this episode right now can think of a couple examples of that.
I have like a couple of people that that I've seen happen like that. It's been like a theme online in the last like 5 years.
Having said all that, it is, and I want to be explicitly clear about this, even though I thought that video was silly, it's not fair to project that onto JooKat, not having any evidence that he's ever been inappropriate or anything. I mean, that's just like fucked up. Like how many, like imagine you're getting dragged for the last 2 years. Every couple of months, hundreds of people will just quote tweet and basically call you like a sex offender, imply that you are as such because you've made a silly little video. I don't know.
Yeah, it's insane. It reminds me of when people will see someone being like canceled over something actually serious, like for like maybe they like raped someone or whatever, and then there's always that one person that's like, oh, I knew the whole time that they were this bad, and it's like, come on, no, you didn't. Like, come on, you didn't know that this person was as bad. It's just like one of those like,
if you did, by the way, if you did know they were that bad and you were quiet about it, that just makes you a piece of shit, by the way.
Yeah, like why didn't you come out with that information, you know? But like there's always those kind of people where like I don't know, they always like try to claim like, oh, I knew this whole time that this person was this piece of shit. But like JooKat, by all means, I mean, he's engaged to someone. He has like I think he's engaged.
I'm pretty sure he has a wife, as I understand.
He might have a.
In either case,
it doesn't actually.
It doesn't matter.
change.
He's never. There's never been any even accusation, let alone a concrete example of him doing anything improper or whatever. You know what I mean? So
yeah. He just makes cringy. Like he has made a single cringy video.
Is
as
it
far
really
as I'm aware.
that big of a crime to be a horny cringe person? I mean, kind of.
Maybe?
But it's a misdemeanor. It's a misdemeanor, not a felony.
If that's the case, you have to cancel every theater kid in every high school in America.
I don't think people would have a problem with that. I'll be honest. I think people would be like, okay, we're doing it. We're putting every theater kid in jail.
That wasn't a suggestion to everybody out there. Don't do it.
It's also just very funny too, because again, he has a substantial audience, and he's been doing this kind of thing for a very long time with no problems. So it's just kind of funny to see how different, I guess, social media spheres interact, where everyone's like, not only do they know this guy, they know him for this, and they trust him and like him and think that he's okay for making this kind of content. But it gets to like, I don't know what you call it, left Twitter. I don't even know if the people that are calling him this stuff are even really involved politically or whatever. It's just
hard to say. That's one of the. It's like hard to say because it kind of came from everywhere. This is like actually one of those instances where it did kind of come from everywhere. Yeah. He just was like, you know how like shows have like the monster of the week or whatever. He was like the discourse. He was the guy of the week or 6 months rather. The guy of the last 6 months.
Okay, so we are going to have JooKat on to give his kind of recounting of these incidents and maybe defend himself a little bit. But I have a call to action for the Western Kabuki listener base. That is to circle the wagons around JooKat. I think that we need to create the JooKat defense squadron. We need to protect him because
at all costs.
He's been through enough. Whatever you think about that dumbass video, it's enough is enough. This guy's just been through it.
Welcome back to Western Kabuki, and now we have JooKat here, content creator, animator, streamer. Hey, how's it going, JooKat? How's it going?
It's going good. I took the day off, so it's pretty nice.
Oh my god, no, that's always the best. That's always the best day when you don't have to work. Shit.
Yeah,
it's a good day. Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Yeah. So basically, we wanted to have you on, kind of talk to you, kind of get your perspective, and talk about this, what feels like an endless kind of
it's
discourse.
Going around again. It's the Twin Peaks GIF. It's happening again.
It's happening.
One of the credit to you, one of the only ones who seem to, well, maybe not the only ones. A lot of my audience seem to very much care about my perspective, but I appreciate that actually, because I feel like these kinds of things we tend to forget the person behind the screen so easily,
Yeah, I guess for a little bit of context, I didn't bring this up in the first segment. But during a lot of the harassment, the genesis of all of this, I was kind of involved in making fun of the video. I forget exactly what I said, but I did say this video is whatever. And that is something that's easy to forget. Just there's someone behind the other screen. And we talked, you reached out to me, JooKat, at one point, we talked about it. And when you actually confront and talk, have a conversation about stuff like that, it's why was I doing that? Why did I say what I said about this? And that kind of just brought me back to everyone has their own perspective. So I think that is kind of important, because especially with through text, through posting, there is that ironic detachment. And I think that's why there was so much derision sent your way at first. Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you did. And I would have been totally fine if you didn't want to bring that up here, but I'm glad that you did, because it's not easy to do that, it would have been very easy for you and others. I have reached out as well, because a lot of these people also have a big platform. And I know that sometimes this kind of mockery, there's a criticism behind it. And I would like to know, I don't want to be in an echo chamber. I don't want to be in my own little hovel. So sometimes I try to reach out, to some detriment to myself, and some people are like, oh, why would you, stalker? I'm like, I want to, there's a point to all of this, right? But sometimes no, there isn't. But yeah. So I guess from your perspective, when all of this started happening, coming your way, you didn't understand the perspective. Is that what you're saying? You didn't really understand the perspective of how people, or why people are coming at you in such a vicious way, right? Oh no, of course not. Yeah. And a lot of people are surprised that I am surprised, because we are products of our environment, and I have a lot of very supportive friends, a lot of very encouraging friends. Whenever I run an idea by them, they're like, yeah, this is great. You should make this. You should share this, and I consider myself very lucky to have very understanding friends that I feel so anxious about saying this, because it's I have a black friend argument, right? I have a lot of friends who are LGBT, and I like to refer to them before I do stuff, because I understand that there's a lot of vitriol in that direction that maybe I don't see. Being cis and straight, I have my biases and I have my own experiences that don't always align with other people, and I want to stay informed, and I want to know how to tackle certain situations that I'm ignorant on, that I don't experience. But of course, now I'm afraid of saying that, because whenever I bring that up, they're like, oh, I don't know. There's
you're
a way
tokenizing. You're tokenizing people.
I'm tokenizing. Yeah. I'm a pick me. I am disingenuous. I'm just trying to weasel my way in for ulterior motives. And it's should I not? I'm virtual signaling. I don't know.
Can I pose a question to you, JooKat? Why do you think that people responded so strongly to that video?
Well, I understand, because they're cynical. It's because they've, in this day and age in the internet, and I understand it. I get it. which I guess is not necessarily good, because a good amount of detachment and dehumanization can be healthy. And I'll talk more about what I mean by that later. Like, please, I've been traumatized. I have to be very careful about the words I say, but hopefully people take it in good faith and you guys take it in good faith. But what I mean by that is like, I get it because I've experienced that. I've had big names, content creators, people I looked up to turn out to be awful people. And we don't know who these people are behind the screen. So I understand the skepticism. But it feels as though now it's been amplified by how a lot of social media kind of promotes discourse, not just on Twitter, but on YouTube as well. You know, me making content on YouTube, I see it all the time. I talked with another content creator about how, hey, you're kind of feeding into this. Like, could you maybe see if there was some other kind of content you could try to make, you know? And it's a constant debate on the line we draw of like what is okay to feed into in terms of I don't know, drama bait or like discourse bait and what isn't. And it's I guess different people have different lines with that.
One of the things that I had said, Joe, in the first segment here, but prior to you coming on, was like, you have a substantial audience, you're doing your own thing, and this is like absolutely not a problem in your circles. It's when your content breaks contagion. And one of the things that we talked about was kind of like, you are the sin eater. You're a stand-in that people can kind of project like bad stuff that has happened, or you know, we kind of joked like, we all know, we can all think of somebody who's like, you know, very, you know, positive and what do you want to call it, virtue signaling, whatever, that ends up being a real big creep or something.
The like wholesome, horny, like the guy who is like the wholesome, horny personality, which like, well, like I feel like we can be honest, that's like maybe not horny, but like the wholesome, like, oh, I love women, like type of personality, like that is a type of guy who has had their moment in social media where it's like, oh, they're cheating on their wife, oh, they're like a creep and like are a sex pest and message all these women insane things. So I at least from my perspective, yeah, like as Caleb, like you were saying, I think people are kind of like weary of that, and I think that's probably where some of that originally came from, was the weariness of that type of guy.
For sure. Yeah. And like, yeah, you're right. It's like, this is bigger than me. I just so happen to be the prop of which they use to express these feelings, which, I mean, it doesn't feel good, you know, but like, and like, but I get it. I because I have been there, you know, with these people, seeing this sort of stuff happen. In fact, I was there. I am a recovered nice guy, you know, like when I was in high school, I was big nice guy. And it took friends to tell me like, hey, you know, this sort of stuff, like not directly at me, but like bringing it up. It's like, man, it's kind of shitty when guys do this. And I'm like, I had to self-reflect. I'm like, oh, I do that. So, you know, again, I get it. And I've been
Joe,
there.
I think it's
I
okay to
understand.
not be perfect when you're a teenager. We'll just leave.
Yes.
It's okay to grow. It's good, right?
Yeah, that's like,
good.
that's the whole point. That's like hopefully what everyone does. Like it just in general, like that's the whole kind of, I think point of getting older is like trying to become the best version of yourself. Yeah.
But yes, I do absolutely feel as though that it's something bigger, but it feels bad that it's just kind of funneled into a direction at a person, especially when I'm that person. But I do try to understand that this is bigger than me. This is a larger issue that people are fed up with, and I get it.
That's an incredible amount of grace to be showing people who have harassed you pretty relentlessly. I mean, what's it like to be in the eye of that particular hurricane?
It feels like, sorry. It kind of feels like I'm alone, you know? Like, and I do have friends and loved ones and a support system to look out for me. And my partner has been very, very supportive with me. But it just feels like there's nothing I can do, right? There's this Herculean expectation that I have to say the right thing. And like, I know a lot of people will point to me as like evidence of like, oh, the right is annoying. Oh, the left is annoying. Oh, all this stuff. And like, I will set the record straight here. Like, I don't want to use any labels, right? But like the kind of people who are annoyed with me for many, many years at that video are the kind of people who use slurs, maybe foul language that I personally don't agree with. And I don't like to both sides a lot of things. And I wouldn't have, but only like recently has it really like come from all angles, even angles of people that I thought, we were kind of together on this. And I'm not under any delusions that there's a hive mind or that it's one conglomerate. Like, everyone is telling me different things. Everyone's shouting different things at me. But I don't know, when it really compounded when it came from people that I thought were my peers, that were in the space with me, that have audiences the size that I am as well, doing similar things that I do, that I, was like, I thought they would understand, most of all. And it just made me feel like I'm alone in this,
Yeah, no,
You're not, by
get,
the way.
You're
not. You have a lot of shooters, and the reason that we wanted to have you on the show specifically was because our audience, when this came up again, we're like, Caleb, go talk to Jocat, get him on. Like, let's have a conversation about this, because there are tons of people who see through all this and know like what kind of person you are. And I think it's important to just kind of state how absurd it is for people to project that onto you over nothing. So that's the grand thesis of the first segment, I think, was, okay, you can make fun of the video, whatever. I've posted worse. I will post worse soon. I promise you that. We need to just kind of learn to detach a little bit. Which
is sad. Like, I essentially have to dehumanize people who make me upset and just be like, well, their opinion doesn't matter, and that sucks, because I'm an art major. I went to school for graphic design. I have a bachelor's degree. And the number one thing we value is critique and feedback. And I feel as though this experience has just completely messed with my ability to take feedback. Like, I basically just have to shut my ears. But of course, there are still ways that I can get feedback. I can get feedback from the people I trust, from my friends, from my partner, from people in my field who are professional. But I still value the audience feedback, because, the things that I make are for them as well. But now,
Joe, I just hope that you know that you can't accept the criticisms or the critiques from people. The people that are doing this, they're not critiquing you. They're critiquing somebody that they've made up in their mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what I mean. It's like, I have to just,
it's like depersonalize yourself from it. Yeah. And like I get, like, especially like, cause like I mentioned before, like when the original post that sent all of this off started, I was like involved, cause at first it just started like I made this.
It's a silly little thing.
Like,
we're going to make fun of something, the topic of the day or whatever. Right.
Yeah. So like it started there. And then like the next day, cause of course, when that first started, it was going off. I saw posts going around of like transphobes being like, oh, like Jocat is a trans ally, like that's why we have to keep going after him. So then I was like, wait a second, okay, so there's people like this getting involved now. And that's like kind of when I stopped the brakes a little bit, because I was like, wait, this isn't just kind of like a razzing of the video anymore. This is about like the person, becoming,
not the art or whatever.
Right. And that's like when I started to be like, okay, this is kind of getting strange. And then when, like, because you talk about, I think you posted a while ago how you got like strange stuff in the mail and like all these attacks. And for me, I don't always talk about it too much, just because I've learned at this point, talking about specific things happening will invite it more often. And I think I talked about this to you when we talked about it a couple of months ago originally. But I have, been sent, things have been sent to my home from people who are like trying to harass me. People have sent like insane voicemails. People have sent insane emails, like everything under the moon you can imagine. Mm-hmm. And sadly, like at first, like when that first started happening to me, it's really scary. It's really scary. It's really frightening. It's really hard to like explain exactly how it feels. Yes. So that like really made me sympathize in that moment. Cause I was like, wait, okay, I know what he means by this. It's not normal. Humans were not really made to be harassed by like thousands of people and like things sent to their home because of like a post online, it's like at some point we got to like log off, we got to reevaluate what we're doing here.
Yeah. And I feel like if I ever try to defend myself and be like, hey, that's not cool, then oh no, like firstly I'm the bad guy for like going after this person, even though they replied to me in a way that clearly I can see, but also then I'm a woe is me. Oh, men have it so hard, you guys. Like, I feel as though, like, I'm under no delusions that, that I have it harder than, LGBT people. I acknowledge the privileges I have that have got me where I am, and that my rights are not in danger in the same way. Something that I've spoken of, which that has also gotten me in trouble with a group of people. And even now, like, people are calling me, like, more recently, this is a more recent thing. This hadn't happened before, but more recently, people saying that I'm misogynistic and objectifying women. And I'm like, wait, which one is it? Am I too gay, or am I not gay enough? Like, I don't know.
Schrodinger's gay.
Yeah, Schrodinger's gay, Schrodinger's misogyny. Even some people saying that I was anti-trans people. And like, I don't know. And it makes me understand, not that I'm too fucking jaded and radicalized to ever like go this way, but it makes me understand why people get very both sides on stuff whenever they're put in this tough scenario. Like, I know that that's a fallacy, so I'm still gonna hold true to my beliefs.
Yeah, you're not gonna like Brianna Woo us right now.
Yeah. I still believe in the things that I believe in. I still believe in the things that, I trust my friends who understand these issues better than I do. I guess that's pathetic in some people's eyes to want to get a second opinion on stuff. But like, yeah, no, what you said is correct in that it's like, you don't know how to handle that. And I didn't.
Yeah, no, the first time it happens, you like it, I don't know. It's something that you're never prepared for. You're really not.
Yeah. Which is why it feels like there's this expectation that's so difficult, that you have to do this thing that humans were not made to do, and you have to do it perfectly. You can't, you have to just know it. You can't ask, you can't learn. You just have to know how to perform with complete grace.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you don't, then everything they said about you is true.
Yeah, no, it's like a very fine line.
How has this affected the way that you make content, the way that you exist online? Like, how has this changed you, if at all? Like, what
it has given me a few rules to try and stick by. I failed at them because I am human. But it means that, like, I am. If I ever do try and come out in the public eye, like, more, like, some people are like, oh, you said you would leave, but then you didn't. It's like, all right. I said I would stop making content publicly, and I did for many months, and only now have I started making more publicly. But like, I want to try. Unfortunately, I have to be more corporate. I have to just separate myself, which is sad, because I like interacting with the audience. The people who consume my content. I like to, just, I don't know, reply to them, answer questions, interact. But I know that if this happens again, that I can't do that, and that the healthier thing for me to do, so that I don't fall into that habit, is to just separate myself, which sucks, because I love my audience and I love the people who engage with my work. But and I think that's the benefit of the internet. The beauty of it is that you can have more interpersonal experiences with these people that otherwise you would have no way of interacting with them and engaging with them in this level that I think it can be beneficial. But sadly, I just have to give that up, for my own sanity.
How has your audience reacted to this whole situation?
Oh, they've been lovely. They've been very understanding. Like, that's one thing that I will always stand by. Some people, I don't know where this started, this thing that, like, oh, he was hounded by his own audience. I wasn't. My audience was with me the whole time. They know who I am. They know what I'm like. They know the things that I believe, and they love the content I make. That's why they consume it, And they were absolutely supportive of me no matter what I did, understanding, and, treated me like a person more than, anyone else who may have had extremely strong feelings about any of the stuff I did. Which, can I just say, like, people are reading way too deep into this stuff when it's like, oh, do you want a medal? You want like a cookie for looking so brave? I'm like, no, I just made a thing that I liked. I'm like, I use my art as like a window for self-expression. Like, I make this stuff because it makes me happy. I could have 1 million subscribers. I could have 0 subscribers. Heck, I mean, everyone starts somewhere, and I made this stuff because I like doing it.
Yeah, I think something that just in general, something I try to do like in the online sphere, just online in general, is like try not to like unless the person truly deserves it, unless like the person is like a Nazi or like whatever, like a actually genuinely, or like a politician who's evil, like unless it's something like that, and it's like we don't have to discourse about like individual people unless they're like evil, and I try not to do that, because it's so easy to fall down the path of just like petty, like being petty and mean over next to nothing. And I think that is kind of important thing that I thankfully I feel like I don't really engage with anymore online, is individual attacks on individual people that don't really deserve it.
There is a YouTuber, Hoots, at Punished Hoots, who had this video a while back that I really love, the idea of like, if you see something silly, keep it in the group chat. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You see something, because what ends up happening, and I'm, by the way, the most guilty of this, and I'm sure all of us are, everyone listening to this is, we all do it. You see something, you amplify it, whatever, but it fucking burns out of control really fast sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And especially her whole idea was, if it's like, unless you, like you were saying, June, if it's unless it's like explicitly a person that like sucks, then go for it. But otherwise, if it's like somebody that could be perceived as like an ally or just a good person, keep it in the group chat. Hey, look at this silly thing that I saw. Look at this, isn't that whatever? And then it's done. You can all have your laughs, and that's that.
Yeah, like post about cat turd. Don't post about like your friend's friend or whatever. Whatever.
Like of
now
course.
I'm going to scroll my timeline and making sure I'm not doing that. Let's see. I got a gut
that
check.
is some good self-reflection.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'm totally fine people finding me annoying or cringe or whatever. It's like, that's not what I have an issue with. But people have thought, I don't know, this idea in their head that I'm like, oh, you're not allowed to make fun of me. It's like, fucking no, you can make fun of me all you want. Like but I feel like a lot of it also ignores that there's some people being really, really angry about this to like a insane degree that I really don't think is worth the effort, like, or like the ratio compared to what is being done. I drew a thing on the internet that made you upset. I'm sorry. I just drew a thing. I don't know what. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, at this point, I have seen that girl's video. I forget the exact name of it. I have seen that video more than I've seen most videos at this point, just because of how much it's been talked about.
You know what's also insane? I have over 200 videos. I've made content, like this is a thing I'm known for now. Before that, it was the crap guides. And I guess I for a little while, that was the only thing I was known for. And I guess I got my monkey's paw wish of like, man, I wish I was known for something else other than the crap guides. and the monkey's paw curled.
That happened, yeah.
But like, man, they are angry at a thing. If I have 200 videos and one of them, that's less than 1% of all the things I've said and done and believe that they are that they're applying to my entire personhood.
That whole video was like less than a minute, isn't it? It's like 1 minute long.
Yeah.
And it's a parody, which I didn't know until our audience put me onto this. It was like a parody of another animation that was a Lizzo cover of a Lizzo song. And, that I think in of itself changes the context of it drastically. And the people don't know.
Yeah. Which I would go as far as to say, even if the context changes, like even if it wasn't a clip from a stream, I still think it's just a video, And like, if they wanted to know who I am so they could truly hate me on a personal level, I have 12-hour-long VODs of streams. They don't want to know me.
No offense to you, Joe, because you sound like a real nice guy, but I'll say this. 12-hour-long VODs are way more egregious than that video.
Oh yeah, truly, I agree. That was dumb, and I should never. I look at those, and I'm like, why did I make this that long? I should have done
that. Okay, I think that's a good. Is there anything else you'd like our audience to know, or people in general to know about the situation? Any advice? Anything you want to say? Just as a closing thought here.
Just look at people like people. That's it. Like, there's a person behind the screen. But of course, like, you guys seem cool, and I'm hoping that means that your audience is cool. I don't know them, but I'm guessing they probably are.
Our audience were
so
the
then
people
I'm
who
just-
told us we should talk to you in the first place. So
Yeah, and
I appreciate
even
it.
especially some of the ones that were like kind of making fun of the video itself, but like, no, you got to talk to this guy because he's actually a really good guy. You can make fun of the video, but listen to what he's got to say. So
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'll be clear before we got you on. Like we called the video cringe. Like, you know, we
Mhm.
let's
And
be
that's
honest.
fine.
Let's be honest. It's a little cringe, you know.
And that's fine.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It
But
was
yeah,
a silly
no,
joke video. We don't need to get into it that any deeper than that, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I've made posts that are deeply cringe. That whenever I see because someone will send a screenshot, I'm like, oh god,
Is this
like, not
you?
that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, not that one. You know, like I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's posted cringe. Everyone, if you're trying to pretend like you've never posted cringe, you gotta grow up.
I don't like
But
I don't like
no.
you speaking on my behalf. In that
We'll get to you later. Our next
to have-
episode. Our next
to have
episode's
one
on you,
fan in
Alex.
But no, I think there's nothing I could say that wouldn't just be preaching to the choir. I feel to the point where I feel a lot of people making these insane remarks at me, if they ever had a conversation with me, would be like, no, yeah, he's a normal guy, but it's like there's some strange magic going on that whenever it's behind a screen, we just feel this urge. And I guess the thing I would say is just keep that urge in check, keep that voice in check.
Mhm.
You know, that's not you.
Where can people find you? What would you like to promote?
You can find me on Blue Sky. I would say that's where I'm mostly posting on, as well as Patreon. I am still continuing my live play series. However, it is being funded by some very, very, very pleasant people, some very kind people who continue to support me, even though I don't make things publicly. So it is Heart of Alinthi. I'm very proud of it. It is, I would say, my magnum opus of D&D campaigns, and it's getting close to finishing. So
Awesome.
you want to listen to a live play?
What's your Patreon URL?
Just JooKat, I think. Patreon.com/JooKat.
We'll link it in the show notes.
I appreciate it. And I do want to appreciate and thank you guys as well because this just talking to me and like letting me share my side of the story just makes me feel human again, you know?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. No, it was really lovely to talk to you. Yeah.
All right, buddy. You are welcome back on the show anytime. If there's ever something you want to talk about, hit us up.
Yeah.
You are part of the Western Kabuki family now.
Of course.
All right. Well, it's a good place to cut it, guys.